cannot put on somebody who's already dead. It's first a book, and the Bible is just a book that was written thousands of years ago, and can be interpreted in many ways to many different people.
Okay.
I don't think that I should or you should put me in that predicament to want to have to stand up to some cold.
Sylvia, what's your thoughts on the afterlife?
I don't believe that there really is an afterlife. I believe that everything is a circle in time, that everything is recycled, just like we recycle bottles, cans, and trash, that our lives are recycled, and that depending on who you are and what you do in life, as long as you're trying to do the right thing and be a good person, you too will be recycled, or you turn into a cockroach and get stepped on.
Okay, well that sounds dreadful to me.
I know.
Because the Bible that I believe in says that we're made in the image of God, okay, and how special you are, okay. So what about God? Do you believe in God?
I believe in a God and a goddess. I believe they are one and whole.
So you do believe in a God?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I sense that there's some moral standard that you have.
I have a moral code. Just because I don't exactly go with, I guess, Jesus Christ doesn't mean that I do not have morals and values. It means that I just don't have the same concepts you have, and our concepts don't have to actually be the same, as long as we're both heading towards the same direction, and that's to be good and to do good towards other people and to respect each other as human beings. If you can't do that, then what good are you?
Okay, so that's a moral standard,
Yeah.
and there's probably many depending on the people that we talk to, right? And so,
Yes.
do you feel that you're a good person?
Yes, I believe most people are good people. I believe bad things happen, and that's only because we're so judgmental and we think of everything generally first off in a negative sense. What seems bad to you might not be bad to another. In another country, if you spit on the ground, that's jail time. But out here, spit means to get rid of a cold or to get rid of something that's inside of your body. Everybody has different opinions, and we all have the rights to those opinions, as long as you're not doing physical and actual harm to someone.
Okay, but what about like Hitler's moral standard? He would say he's good to go.
Hitler was a different being.
Okay, so what I'm getting to is that we have different standards all over the place. Hitler, a murderer, a rapist, they would have different moral codes, right? And is that okay?
No, to do actual physical harm to another person is wrong. Do whatever you will on this earth. This earth is yours. It's our playground. This is what we were given, as human beings made in the likeness of our so-called gods or goddesses or whatever we want. We were given this as our playground. But to harm one another and to know that you're doing harm and you're causing pain and suffering to another person is ill-advised.
Okay, I want to put you up against God's moral standard. Is that okay? And let's just see where you stand, okay? And you can be honest with me. This isn't for me to judge you. This is for you to judge yourself up against God's standard.
I don't want to judge myself, because if
Yeah.
I judge myself up against God's standard, the possibility of me actually, I don't really know what God thinks. All I know is what's in a Bible and a book, and the Bible is just a book that was written thousands of years ago, and can be interpreted in many ways to many different people.
Okay.
I don't think that I should or you should put me in that predicament to want to have to stand up to some cold. When I tell you what I think is correct, I believe to harm no one. Do as you will, harm no one. Do not inflict pain and suffering upon another person. Do not take from people. Do not lie, steal, and cheat from another person. Do your best to be good, to be kind, to be caring, to encourage that in other people's. What do I say? Inspire kindness to stay inspired.
Okay, let's lock ourselves up against this standard.
Okay.
Have you ever told any lies?
Absolutely.
What do we call people who lie?
We call them liars.
So what would that make you?
I tell lies. I'm a liar sometimes. Everybody
Okay,
does.
and do you still consider yourself a good person?
Yes, I do.
Okay, have you ever stolen anything?
Yes, I did.
What do we call people who steal?
Thieves.
Okay, and what would that make you?
A thief at times.
Maybe a lying thief right now.
A lying thief. Absolutely.
Okay, have you ever taken God's name in vain?
I don't know who your God is or what God's name really is. All I know is what I'm being told.
Okay, have you ever used it as a cuss word?
Are you saying the name Jesus? Now, Jesus was a prophet. He's not a God. He is a prophet.
Okay, well, let's just say for you, God, that word. Have you ever used that? All right, would you use your mother's name as a cuss word?
You mean like Steph? No, man, that's retarded.
Well, okay, would it be also because maybe you love her and respect her? But yet we would...
You got to think about that, though. The term, Jesus Christ, when people say it like that, there's a notation to it. It's not necessarily that they're intending on being blaspheming or using the name as a cuss word. Sometimes the only thing that pops into the brain is so many people use it that way. I don't know.
We've been conditioned to do that. That's unfortunate. You know, in the Old Testament, that was punishable by death, and that's how serious it is. You know, just to dishonor God in itself, you know, so easily. Okay, have you ever looked at someone with lust?
Everybody does. You're a human being, God.
Okay.
You have a sex drive. Why wouldn't you?
So in the Old Testament, that's called adultery. With that summation, all right, and I'm not judging you, okay? You just told me you're a lying, thieving, blasphemous, adulterous person at heart, okay? So if there was a heaven and hell, which I believe there is, if God were to judge you...
Because it might be much more comfortable, because that's where everybody seems to be going.
Where?
Hell.
Okay, it's not going to be a comfortable place, all right? However, it's good to know that.
But you don't know.
Do you know what death is?
This isn't something you factually know. This is something that you've read about in a book. And you if you want to take that literally, I can't help you. But as far as I'm concerned, as long as I work hard every day to be a good person and do the right thing, no matter what I do, as long as I ain't killing you, killing some kids, and maiming a group of people, I'm all right.
Sylvia, I want to give you more information, okay? All right? And it kind of goes like this. Let's just say, here's an example. Do you have to go? Are you?
I'll stay.
Are you sure? Okay, thank you. All right, I want to give you more information like this. A blind man went on a bus, and someone gave their seat to him. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
That's a good thing. That's called being courteous.
It's a good thing, but let me give you more information. The person who stood up to give him their seat was the bus driver. Now, is that still a good thing?
Well, if the blind man used echolocation while he was driving, he might not hit any of the cars next to him. But other than that, no.
Okay, good. So,
only a fool would do that.
in this situation, I want to give you more information. Okay? Because I think you do have some information. All right, the Bible says that death is wages that we get paid for sinning. People go to work, they get paid money. People sin or transgress the law, they get paid death. So we walk around with the death penalty on us. But you know what the Bible says? The Bible says that God is merciful. That while we were still transgressing against Him, and while we were rebelling against Him, He did something for us. Do you know what that might be?
Apparently He sent this guy who was ahead of his time, who was killed behind it.
Okay, all right. So the Bible says that the wages of sin is death, but God sent His Son Jesus to die on the cross for us. And that's the essence of Christianity, that death paid for our sins. Okay.
I want to die for my own sin. I don't need anyone's blood to be shed for me to want to do the right thing.
So Sylvia, let me give you a picture of it. And well, no, this is like here. So let's say you go to a judge, and let's say you have speeding tickets. Okay, let me just.
That's not working for me. I like you a lot, and I like what you're trying to get at, but I'm at my field,
and we're almost done. We're almost done. You're doing great, and I care about you, and that's why.
If you read your Bible, to be Christ-like.
Yeah. Do you know?
Need to go around.
Do you know that?
In His Bible, if you read the Bible, it is said, Do not go around preaching and yelling at people about what was done for you and how it was done for you. If the flock wants to come, let it come to you. Let them come to you to ask them the questions. When they want the questions and they want the answers, when they see that you are Christ-like and walking in the Spirit of Christ, don't worry. They're going to show up to you. You don't have to go searching for them.
You know, that's what I pray before I come, is that God would take me to those who He wants me to share with.
And sometimes when He's taking you to people, sometimes it's the opposite way around.
Yeah, and I ask Him to prepare the hearts of those who I'm going to share with. Do you know that one day I was driving down the road on the west side in Makaha, and I saw a baby crossing the street, a baby, maybe less than 1 year old, about to cross the street. I stopped my car, and me and my wife, and we grabbed the baby and found the home. And we stopped our car. Anybody would stop their car, right? Because the baby was in danger, right? Okay, and you know what? That's what I'm doing right here. For me, I see people in danger, and I know God's love for them. And I'm going to finish this off really quick, okay? Because I want to share with you God's love. We went over the fear and the law and the justice part of God, because He is a just God. We will stand before Him. You know, death is guaranteed, right? Okay, but God said that whoever trusts in my Son and repents will live eternally. So the picture with that is, imagine being on a plane and the plane's going to crash, and people jump out and they try to flap their arms and try to get to the ground. Do you think that's going to save them?
No, I think most people are going to be screaming, oh God, please don't let us crash.
Okay, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. No, yeah. And they're going to, for people who think they can jump out and save themselves, it's not going to happen. They need a parachute, right? Okay, so if you were to put on a parachute at that time and you jump out, pull the ripcord, what's going to do all the work to get you down to the ground? Is it you or the parachute? It's not a trick question.
There's a lot of things that went on in my head, okay? You just got to hold on with me while my head slows down, because there was a lot of scenery. The wind and the parachute.
Right. The parachute's going to do all the work, and all you're going to do is trust in the parachute. And you know what the Bible says? The Bible says, put on Jesus Christ. And what God is saying right now, this life that you're living on is like a plane ready to crash, Sylvia. And God is saying, Sylvia, put on the parachute of my Son, Jesus Christ. That's how much He loves you, Sylvia, and trust in Him. Okay?
I cannot put on somebody who's already dead, first of all. And second of all, I'd rather just live my life trying to do the right things. My wrongs and my bads and heaven and hell, whenever it happens, it's going to happen. And I've already died and been there, so I'm good with death. We're buddies, right? But all I want to do is keep loving and giving love. I don't want to make anyone feel condemned for their sins or like they have to get on their knees and pray for something. I just want to share love and goodness.
Sylvia, thank you so much for this time with you, talking story and letting me share with you Jesus Christ. One last thing, because I heard you say something. You're right, Jesus died. Did anybody tell you that He rose again 3 days later?
See, you shouldn't ask certain questions to me, man. I'm very opinionated, and you don't want me to answer that question.
Well, okay, you know I care about you, and I want you to think about those things, and thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome, sir. You be blessed.